Hi class, my name's Melody Todd and my leisure presentation is about trap shooting or shooting a moving target. The first mention of trap shooting as a sport is found in an English publication entitled Sporting Magazine in 1793. In 1831, the Sportsman's Club of Cincinnati, Ohio, first introduced the practice of shooting live birds that were released from box traps. Then in 1860, live birds were replaced by targets that were designed to duplicate a live bird. One was a metal bird with rotating wings and the other a feather-filled glass ball. These targets were launched from traps that resemble medieval catapults. In the 1880s, the clay targets, such as the ones that we use today, were first developed by George Legowski of Cincinnati. In 1900, the first Grand American Handicapped was held in Queens, Long Island, and it was the beginning of what has become the nation's most renowned shooting tournament. Also in 1900, shooting sports entered the Olympic arena, and they were not segregated, and each country could decide on their own if they wanted to include women on their own team. It wasn't until 1968 that the first women appeared in Olympic shooting. 3 countries, Mexico, Poland, and Peru, were the first to allow women on their Olympic shooting teams. In 1884, women-only sections were introduced with only 3 categories. But the women were still allowed to compete in the men's section, but only in the categories that were not offered in the women's section. In 1991, the unthinkable happened. A woman, Zhang Shang of China, won the gold in skeet. That's another shotgun category. And it was in the mixed competition at the Games. The only response of the Olympic Committee was to eliminate women from the competition, and a men-only rule was instituted for the Olympic shotgun shooting competitions. I think many times things change out of fear. In this case, the fear that women may indeed be able to be equal to men. In our reading in Gains and Gaps, we read about what was expected of women during the Victorian era. It states, the traits of passiveness, obedience to husband, circumspectness of behavior, and most of all, attractiveness were deemed necessary to maintain the Victorian image of womanhood. It doesn't seem that shooting a gun would fit into that image at all. But in 1885, Annie Oakley joined Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, and in doing, started a disruption of the Victorian expectations of the time. She was able to shoot like a man, but with a proper feminine persona. Oakley became a role model and an escape for Victorian women from their tightly bound clothing and the binding expectations placed on them in society. She gave them hope for their future. Now here I am, getting ready to go out and shoot. After seeing the safety rules and taking the little class, my son took me out to the field, and I thought I was ready to go out there and just give it my best. But he had a lot in store for me. He had to tell me how to stand. He had to tell me when and how to eject the shell after I shot. He had to tell me about aiming. He had, which you don't do, you just kind of point the gun in your line of sight and go for it. He had to tell me about how to shoulder the gun. He had to go over the safety rules again to me. Now I kind of know how he felt when I was trying to teach him how to do something. All I wanted to do was just get out there and do it. So finally I did get out there. When he thought I was doing my best at the practicing he was having me do, he knew that I was ready to go and do this. So out I went. I yelled, pull. And before I even saw the target, it was halfway to the ground. That thing was moving so fast I could hardly believe it. And of course, I didn't hit it. And it took me a while. It took me a few practices, and actually it wasn't until towards the end when we found out that the shotgun I was using was way too long for me. I couldn't hold the proper stance. I couldn't hold the gun properly. He allowed me to use his shotgun, which was a better fit, but not great. And that's when I was able to hit my first target. Here I am. I think this is just before I hit the first target. And here I am with the next time that we went out. A little better form, but not much. Oh, I wish that was mine, but it sure wasn't. I didn't improve much the next time. I think I hit a few more, and then the weekend after we went out 2 days in a row, and I did a little better, but I didn't have any improvement, and that was only slight on the last day that I shot. Although I really did enjoy myself. I do want to say, I know as a young girl, I definitely looked at Annie Oakley as a role model and wanted to be able to do the things that she had done. Now, in 2013 and near 60 years old, I was both excited and apprehensive about my decision. By watching more YouTube videos and practice at home, I lost some of that apprehension. Here, let me show you the references that I used. But I also want you to know, the thing that I really learned, I know if I ever feel powerless, I know right where to head, and that is the shooting range. Just firing the gun, whether you hit the target or not, is a big rush and made me feel empowered. What I really learned from this activity is whether you are male or female, young or old, skinny or fat, you should allow yourself to step out of your comfort zone now and then. We all need to remember that no matter what the reason we give for why we can't do something, it is only an excuse, and we are the only ones with the power to hold ourselves back. Thank you.